Hi, I'm Claire. Welcome back to my channel. For this next video, I am going to be doing a family home in The Sims 4. So this is a 3-bedroom, 3-bath home for a family of 4, and I decided to build this in Oasis Springs because I am sick of the snow in real life. Every time there is a burst of spring, it gets doused by snow the next day, and so I needed a break from that, so that's why I decided to build this home in Oasis Springs. And I just haven't really built in Oasis Springs in a hot minute, and so I thought it would be a fun break from the norm. And so I did want this house to be a base game only house, but that plan kind of went out the window. This house was also going to be last week, but it just felt too big at the time, too much to take on with my schedule, and so I decided to do it this week because it was a little bit less busy for me. And so we are just going to be adding the kitchen, finishing it up, and most of those appliances are from the Dream Home Decorator Pack, and so now we are just going to be adding a little breakfast nook or breakfast bar, and I did think this would be fun to have a dinner parties, like the kids can be at the table right here, and then like the adults can be at the longer table that you'll see in a little bit. And it took me forever to figure out what exactly should be on that blank wall in between of the kitchen and the dining room. I just couldn't figure it out. Like, should I have a breakfast bar or like a coffee station, or should I have like a bookshelf? I ended up going with this wood piece from the Dream Home Decorator Pack. And of course, got to add a light switch. I do go back later at the end of the video to add the rest of them through the house. And so we are just going to be adding a rug. I thought this long and skinny one from the Eco Lifestyle Pack would go perfect in that little corner, and it did. And now we are just working on the kids' playroom. This kind of this is the reason why I designed this house, is because I was like, I want to do a house with a kids' playroom. This is actually a little bit inspired by the TV show Bluey. It's not like fully, it's just like the idea of having like a playroom with like these like big accordion doors going off of it. That was kind of like the inspiration for the playhouse that I got from Bluey, and it is a smaller playroom than a cartoon show that is based off of dogs, but it did work for this house, and there are other places for the kids to play. So, for example, the backyard that you'll see in a moment. There's also this like kind of closed-in personal kids patio that we'll get to in a second. And so we are just going to be adding a little toy chest, and I feel like with this house I just used like one item from, not like every single pack, but there's just a lot of items where it's just like, oh, that one item's from one specific pack. And so we are just going to be adding these tree stickers. Since the dollhouse does have a little cardboard tree, I thought it would kind of fit a little bit in with this space, and I had to use my favorite ladybug play rug, and just going to be adding some bear chairs, making the space really playful and fun. I didn't really have like a gender, I guess, in mind for these kids. I maybe was thinking like two sisters, kind of like Bluey, and so we are just going to be adding some book posters. And maybe these Sims really like the books and the posters that I put up. And now we are going to be going into the living room, and I wanted to have this living room sunk down. I kind of forget that having like sunken and raised like living rooms is an option, and so I wanted to do it in this house, and I feel like the sunken living room turns out pretty well. But for now, we are just going to be adding a few more play items for kids and toddlers, and just going to be switching out the bookshelf or bookcase for this kind of house looking one. And now we are going to be going into the living room, which I use the sectional couches because it's kind of a smaller, tighter space, and so I wanted to get the most amount of seating I could out, and so we are just going to be adding a coffee table underneath the TV and going to be adding some pictures. And I do like how, since I sunk the living room, that the coffee table is like floating. I feel like that's kind of cool in design and features, and so we are just going to be adding the long table that I mentioned earlier in the video. So this is where the adults will be having their more formal dinners, and I did want to have like a proper dining space in this house. Maybe it's not like the most proper, it's not really its own room, it's kind of the first thing you see when you walk in. But I managed to have like 3 different spaces for your Sims to eat, or I guess 4 if you count the living room, or I guess 5 if you count the outdoor picnic table. And so we are just going to be adding some decorations in the kitchen and on the tables. Wanted to have it be cohesive, so I have like the rugs matching, and then I have the same pot and flowers on both of the tables. And so we are just going to be adding some little salt and pepper shakers, which I think is one of my favorite base game items. And so we are just going to be adding a rug and kind of finishing up this main level of the inside up. Just going to be adding a few decoration items on the coffee table and going to be adding a little drop zone at the front door. Going to add a coat rack and a chair. If you follow me or my channel, you would know I love having a chair and like shoes right at the front door, just because in real life sometimes it's easier to have a chair to put your shoes on than having to stand up and put it on awkwardly, especially if you have kind of bad balance like me. And so we are just going to be adding a mirror from the Parenthood pack and going to be adding another picture from base game. It took me a minute to find it because I didn't filter through base game, and so we are just going to be adding some other pictures. I wanted like the main level pictures to all have black frames around it, just to have like cohesiveness, since it is a big and open space. And so we are just going to be adding some decoration onto the coffee table, and now we are going to be going outside, and I wanted there to be a little lounging station, or not station, but a little lounging spot for the parents, and I thought using these lounge chairs from the base game would go perfectly, but then I remembered that there are lounge chairs from Eco Lifestyle that would probably look a little better. This spot could also be a good like fireplace spot, have some s'mores. I actually do end up going back and adding a fireplace, but I do still keep the lounge chairs. I forgot the word for a second. And so we are just going to be going and adding a few more items back here. Is going to be switching out the relaxing beach chairs. I can't think of the proper name, but I did wanted to add this picnic table from the City Living pack. I just like how the paint brings some like detail and personality to it, and so we are just going to be adding a telescope and some items for the kids to play on. I wanted to make this monkey bars blue to kind of go with the railing on the house. It's just basically the same shade of blue, which is honestly kind of tricky in this game, although I guess I am thinking of more of the wood tones that come in this game. They don't really match each pack, and so we are just going to be making a little sandbox for the kids, and I did add another dollhouse. I wanted to add one that looked a little bit more sturdy in a way, like this wouldn't like melt if it got, or melt and get soggy if a rainstorm happened. But that is also why I didn't use seasons in this build, because I wanted it to be sunny and perfect every time you play in this house, although that is a good pack to enhance your game. And so we are just going to be now going on to the upstairs. So first we are going to be working on this little landing area, and I decided to have this area be for like a computer, but first we are going to be going into the ensuite in the primary, and I had to keep this little alcove where I put the shower, and so I decided to make it into a shower room. I did want to get rid of that wall, but whenever I did, the roof would somehow come in the house, and I just had to kind of work around that space. And so we are just going to be adding some decorations, just kind of keeping it simple. I wanted the parents' room and bathroom to be very clean and simple and sleek, I guess. And so we are just going to be using this bed from Snowy Escape in a desert home, but I loved the wood detail of the bed, and I'm just going to be adding some side tables. Again, this is a very simple bedroom, and now we are just going to be finding a dresser. I end up going with this one from base game. Well, not this one from base game, but like this other one from base game. And just kind of tall and skinny, and I thought it worked best for this space. And now we are just going to be finding a picture to hang up and going to add some curtains so these Sims can sleep in if their children permit them. And now we are just going to be adding some lights and some books onto the side tables, and going to just be adding a little bit of detail there. Maybe both of these Sims are bookworms, and so that is why they have books at the side of their beds. And just going to be adding a rug. I do keep it all kind of beige and clean in here, which I felt like turned out pretty well. And so we are just going to be adding a chess table out here, and I did think about adding 2 telescopes, but I'm like, that's just too much. And so the primary bedroom does have their own access to this second level balcony, which I thought was nice, just to have dual access into this space. And I do add a few art easels and a bonsai tree thing, and so now we are just going to be adding some rugs that look like paint splatters, and now we are going to be going in to the little landing area computer spot. I probably should have watched this video before I started my voiceover, but I wanted to make sure that there was space for a computer. This is a very useful item in the game. You can do lots of stuff on computers, and so we are just going to be decorating that space. And I'm going to be now finding a bookshelf for this little alcove, which I thought was just cute and needed a little something in it. And so now we are just going to be finding some pictures for this hallway, but I did really want to keep this area very clean, and so we are now in the last room of the house, which is the kids' bedroom. So I have space for a child and a toddler, and I just need to comment on the wallpaper. I know it's not that big of a deal, but I actually used the cloud wallpaper instead of having to make my own cloud wallpaper. I really didn't want to use cloud wallpaper, but then I realized this when I was editing, like, oh, I just used the cloud wallpaper again, but this wallpaper isn't DIY, which I'm kind of happy I didn't have to do. And so we are just going to be going in and adding a little desk underneath the loft bed, and I feel like this was a very cute little corner. I'm going to be using the chair from the colorful kit. I don't exactly know what it's called. It's the one with the strawberry icon, and so just going to be adding a little dresser, just trying to keep this space kind of simple as well. This space is mostly just for sleeping, since the playroom is more for like playing, and so we are just going to be adding some light switches and kind of wrapping up this house. So we are just going to be picking out this rug. I really want to use this one because it's nice and colorful. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I post new videos every single Tuesday, so please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. You can also find me on Instagram, and if you want to play in this house, you can find it on the Sims 4 gallery. The information is down below, and I hope to see you all next week for another Sims 4 video. Leave a comment down below if you have any build ideas for me. I would love to hear them. Bye!